Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Behind the Bench, brought to you by the National Soccer Coaching Association of Canada. And thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Tony LaFerrara. So we're excited to bring you part one. There's going to be another part two of the webinar to discuss what some coaches believe is a disappointing showing at the 2023 FIFA Men's U17 World Cup by our national team, U17 national team. We will talk about that. We will talk about the talent identification, and we'll talk about player development in Canada with our panel of experts. And by the way, Sean Fleming will not be able to join us today. I got an email from him about an hour ago, and Sean I think he's got COVID. He's very sick, and so he won't be able to join us. He was here in Whitby for about a week doing coaching seminars, and so he was shaking hands and kissing babies and doing the whole thing for the whole week, and it was and it's probably that's how we got it. So he will not be with us this time, but he will join us for part two, maybe next week or the week after. Our panel of experts today are Rafael Carbajal. Rafael, many of you know him as the former assistant coach with the men's national team. Rafael has coached in Italy as well, and is now in Paraguay coaching professionally in Paraguay 2-3 years now. I think Rafa maybe more. Richard Bucciarelli is the National Soccer Coaching Association expert about sports science and fitness. Peyvand Mossavat, former provincial coach, university coach with York University, Ryerson, UIT in Oshawa, and now with Laurier. John DeBenedictis, author of the, John, is it the last 6 seconds or 9 seconds? What was it?
9.
How to Score Goals. How to Score Goals. And I am your host, Tony LaFerrara. By the way, yesterday we were talking with some guys at the OSA, and we figured out that I've been involved in this game for 51 years, and that's a long time. All right, so Rafael, I'm going to start with you. We didn't do well at the World Cup. The U17 boys didn't do well at the World Cup. They lost 2-0 to Spain, 3-0 to Uzbekistan, and 5-1 to Mali. My question is, Rafa, is this as good as it gets, or can we do better? Can't hear you, Rafa.
Audio is not working. No.
He may have muted himself.
Oh boy.
Doesn't show as mute.
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna, Richard, do you want to take on this question, and then we'll see when Rafa joins us, then maybe he can put in his 2 cents.
So the question was, is this as good as it gets, right?
Is it as good as it gets, or can we do better, or should we do better?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll start. I would say that the disappointing results are caused, there are one of two causes. The first is that perhaps this is like this team, this under-17 team, was comprised of the best, the most talented young players that we have in Canada. And if that's the case, then this is as good as it gets until we do a better job of developing the most talented players that we have. So if it's in fact the case that the team had the best players that Canada has to offer, then clearly there's something wrong with the way we're developing these talented players that we have, because they're not able to be competitive even with, let's say, okay, Mali, Uzbekistan, not to take anything away, and I can see Mali has gone all the way to the semifinal in this tournament, but these are not recognized as top soccer nations. On the other hand, the other possible explanation for the disappointing result is maybe these aren't the best players that we have. And if that's the case, then the problem is with player identification. meaning we're not doing a good enough job of scouting between the provinces, between all of the different leagues and clubs and academies and programs and whatever talented players that are out there. And so we've missed out on some talented players, and that perhaps could have helped us. I think it's a little bit of both, and I'm not sure what percentage we could ascribe to the problem with player development versus the problem with player identification, but I believe it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I agree with you, Richard. I mean, you can't separate the two of them. You know, player development, player identification, they go hand in hand, I think. Peyvand, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Can we do better? Should we do better? Or, man, you know, this is it. And I'll tell you why, Peyvand, if you don't mind. Because looking at past World Cups, this is we always finish last, basically, right? In the World Cup. So it doesn't seem to be much improvement or too many changes. But Peyvand, your thoughts on that? Can we do better?
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks for having me on this panel and this discussion today. I appreciate it, and I'm no way or shape, expert in any of these at this level. But I could just, personal thoughts of being involved in the game in Canada, in my throughout my life as a former player and as a coach in the community. And I think Richard's definitely bang on in terms of the reality. And I don't think, whatever number of people that we have, 80 people, 100 people that we have on this call, I'm sure everybody would agree that, there's multiple factors in having a successful team. And we can't disregard the fact that who we lost to. I mean, we lost to Mali there in the finals, Spain, a team that came into, the final 8, quarterfinals, et cetera. So we've lost to some teams that definitely have quality, without a doubt. And Mali going and being successful, is it a one-off? Which could be in football. That the great, this fantastic documentary that's on right now, talking about the chance, and football being such an unpredictable sport where, by chance and by luck, you could actually get to the next stage. So, but there's definitely some components missing, and there's no question that we've, and I don't know whether we could blame it on COVID or what had happened over the, a short period of time. Because I think Canada Soccer, Ontario Soccer, provincial bodies, they're trying to do their best to have better coaches now, more robust system in place. We're supposed to have a high performance environment, and we have professional academies. We have more coaches now licensed, coaching than ever before in this country. We were all coached by dads and that had very little experience, back in our time. And then, the identification piece, right? That seems to be, I think, a little bit, potentially favored towards kids that are just coming out of those professional academies.
Peyvand, we'll get to that. We'll get to the identification process. Rafael, can you hear us now? Is your sound back on, Rafael? We cannot hear you. I know you're in Paraguay and it's too far, but you need to shout a little bit louder.
Rafael, you might want to log back out and back in, see whether you have more success.
Yeah,
It shows his mic is muted.
Yeah, but he muted it now, but it wasn't muted before. I don't know.
So Johnny, Peyvand was talking about coaching and coaching education and all of that, right? But most of these players that played on the U17 national team, they all come from academies. TFC, Montreal, Vancouver, they all have professional coaches, full-time coaches. These kids train every day, almost every day. They have good competition. They play with other academies around the MLS and against each other and so on. So what gives? We got good coaching, we got good facilities, they train every day, but still we cannot break that last spot in the World Cup.
Well, Peyvand did say about, sometimes a bit of luck, maybe we got, Mali looked very good from what I saw. And it could be a one of, and Spain is always good. Uzbekistan, I think a couple of errors, and next thing you know, we're chasing the game. So you don't know, but I'm still not so sure about player identification. If we're not giving more players a chance, I'm not 100% sure if we're doing a great job at that.
But what about player development, John? We're talking about player development. These are all kids, all kids. They play in the academies. They train in the academies. Full-time coaches, paid staff every day.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, maybe we get the toughest group. It's hard to say, but I think we've improved a lot with player development. The question is, are these kids, good tactically? I think technique-wise, they've really come a long way, but sometimes kids are so reliant on their techniques that they forget that there's a whole bunch of players playing with them. I just noticed it with some of the younger kids where they're coming in doing all this fancy stuff that they learn at a very young age, and they have no idea of 2v1s or 2v2s and moving on up. So that an issue? I don't know. Canada's a wide country. Are we able to get players from TFC, Montreal, Vancouver training together enough to go to a World Cup? I don't know how long they prepared. So there's a variety of issues there, and from the one game I saw, a couple of bad errors on defense, and then you're down, and then you're in trouble. You can't make those types of mistakes at the back.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.